Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am so excited to have my two guests here with me today. I have Olivia and Jack Coning with me. The wandering duo will be wandering, and I am so excited to have them here. And I'm going to turn it over to them and let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I can start. I'm Olivia. I was born and raised in Georgia, and I am currently a marketing manager by day and a travel content creator slash travel planner by night. That's kind of how I introduce myself. Um, I recently moved to Seattle with my high school sweetheart, Jack, about a month ago. We met when we were 15 and just had our 1 year anniversary this past June, our 1 year wedding anniversary. So we are settling into this new city, and yeah, we love travel. We've spent time digital nomading, and are really passionate about showing others that wanderlust is within their reach. So
Very cool.
yeah, that's me. And then I'll let Jack introduce himself.
Hey, yeah, I'm Jack. I am English. You can't gather by the accent. I moved to America about 10 years ago now.
Okay.
Started in Georgia for a good bit, and
Yeah.
now we've just moved to Seattle, traveling throughout that time as well.
Very,
I do SEO, I do SEO, I'm an SEO specialist.
very cool.
And then yeah, the travel stuff on the side as well, which is the true passion. So
Love it.
um, yeah, excited to be here.
Love it. I appreciate you guys being here. And I love that in a lot of like your TikTok account, it's an American and a Brit who love to travel. Like I love that that's the tagline you guys have. And I love that you guys are high school sweethearts. We hear about it. It's all the romantic stories that we hear about, but we don't sometimes see it all the time. So I absolutely love that. I want to take it back to, how did travel begin for the two of you? What kind of spurred it on? And then we'll get into what you guys have created business wise today.
Jack, do you want to start? Because I feel like you grew up traveling. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I, being from England, was able to kind of travel quite easily because of all the cheap airlines like
Yeah.
EasyJet, and I could hop on the channel over to France, and it was quite easy to do international travel quite early on. Um, and so that was always a passion for me, experiencing other cultures, and my parents really wanted to instill that in me to experience the world.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was my childhood, and then we moved over to America, and I met Liv pretty early on. And
Yeah.
our first destination actually together was in the United States, in Seattle. So
Very
that
cool.
was cool. That was our first kind of trip together. And then our first international trip of when um, we did study abroad for a semester in Italy, in Florence. And I think that's where we really got our kind of like adult passion
Yeah.
for for travel. And
Yeah.
then it just kind of took hold, and we kept traveling and
Love it.
exploring. Yeah.
I love that. I get so jealous because I do know quite a few people that have moved overseas and they're like, it's so easy and cheap to travel. And I'm like, it sucks because here it's hundreds of dollars sometimes to travel, but some of those other places just to be able to go and explore for a weekend, I'm constantly jealous of everybody's weekend travels around Europe and other parts. Um, but I love that, and I've been traveling from a very young age too, so I've always had that travel hunger where if I stay in one place too long, I'm like, I gotta go somewhere. And it drives me crazy when I'm when I'm home for too long sometimes.
oh yeah, our favorite one of our favorite quotes is like when the what is it, Jack? It's like when the travel bug bites, it bites hard or something like that.
Yes. Yes. And it like that is like true. When you created this travel business of creating these recommendations and things, how did that come about? Because you guys have had so many clients and so many people have been thrilled with the recommendations that you guys have given them. How did you come to say, we're going to turn our passion for travel and our love for it and give people recommendations and things that they can go and chase and do as well?
I think it really came about after that initial study abroad trip to Italy, where I just fell in love with planning Jack and I's own little trips and excursions during that time. And I was like, this is fun. I feel like I could create the same experience for people back home. And also, I don't want to stop doing this when I return home. I love the planning aspect. I loved the details of logistics, of what train to catch, of
Yeah.
how public transportation works in different countries, what to look out for, um, how to make sure you see all the places you want to in a certain amount of time. Like, and also just like seeking out those like hidden gems and local spots and stuff was something I was really passionate about, of pouring into the local community. And so I was like, how can I continue to do this
Yeah.
when I'm not traveling and as I continue to travel? And um around the same time or shortly after, we had a travel app reach out to us called Thatch and wanted to partner with us. And so we kind of got scooped into their creator program, where we were kind of the guinea pigs as they were producing new features on this app. We kind of gave them feedback, and their whole idea is that they wanted to be able to monetize travel recommendations for these travel creators who have explored and experienced all these cool places and wanted to pass them along. So it seemed like a really natural fit for what I was trying to do. So from there, we just kind of started building a business, figuring out how to create packages for recommendations. And Jack really was a lot of the brain behind like the custom categories and stuff like that, which I just thought was so genius and a way to like really personalize those guides. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how it came about.
Is one of you like more you build at the itinerary and then the other one is just very go with the flow, or you both like very much have the itinerary, put it all together, and that's how you travel?
So I would say I do a lot of the prep.
Okay.
So I like figuring out the places to go and sort of getting like a rough itinerary outline together. But when it's like go time and game day and we are in the moment, that is a lot of like Jack. So Jack will kind of take over and make sure like we're getting to the train station on time. We have everything with us. He's more of that like in the moment sort of like organization, where I'm like, I'll do all the prep work.
I travel a lot with my sister, and I am very much, I make sure we're at the airport on time. I make sure we know where we're going at all times. And people will ask her, they're like, why don't you travel by yourself? She said, because if I ever travel by myself, she said, I will for sure get lost or somewhere because I don't have my sister or my dad with me. And he was the one who really taught us growing up, like what time you have to be at the airport for certain flights and things like that. And so she is very much the free flowing one that, thank God, she has somebody with her.
I would say we balance each other out pretty
Good.
well with our like travel style and
Yeah.
what we like to do. So
Very
that's definitely a blessing.
Very cool. Now, when you travel, do you have like an adventure side, or are you more off of you like to kind of just walk around and just see what you find?
Yeah, I feel like we try and balance it, honestly. I think we try and create like a structure a little bit when we plan for our trips. So we'll have like, we might want to say it's like Rome, we want to see
Oh
the
yeah,
Colosseum and Trevi
absolutely.
Fountain or something like that, have those like pillars.
Yeah.
And then our plan will be to kind of flow around those and kind of, plan so we get to see what we want to see,
Yeah.
but leave enough room so we can hop off down an alley at some point and go see something that we've just caught our eye.
Yes, absolutely. And you guys have been to some extremely cool places that I am super jealous of. But I would like to just go through a few scenarios that I would say like best food experience. If I was to say that, what is the places that pop into your mind?
I mean, oh gosh, I mean, an initial like answer would be Italy. I mean, I love Italian food. There's nothing like a Neapolitan style pizza
Yeah.
from really I mean, Florence has great food, but even you get out into like the smaller villages and towns where it's just authentic and you get these homemade pastas and dishes and like it's just incredible. Everything
Yeah,
is grown in the same region pretty
yeah.
much. Like it's super fresh, flavorful. We did this one down in the Puglia region of Italy. One of my favorite dining experiences ever was this. Um, we went to this olive tree farm, just a bit away from a hilltop town called Ostuni. And we had basically like I think it was like a 7-course meal, and they turned the old stable into like the dining room essentially, and came out and explained each dish to us. And we got to sample all the olive oil that they'd grown on the farm, and some of these trees were like around like BC, like super old. Um, and we at the end we did like we had like an olive oil liqueur or something that was just super unique and cool. So that was a super fun experience.
If I was to say, favorite travel scenery that you've ever come across, favorite sites, what would you say?
You want to answer, Jack?
Yeah, sure. That's hard. It's I think if I was to go like a natural and like a city route,
Yeah,
I'd go naturally. I'd probably go for the Pacific Northwest, like
okay,
up here, because
yeah,
it's just absolutely gorgeous. The
unreal.
coast, the mountains,
Yeah,
everything. It's stunning.
yep.
Um, and then in terms of city, I'd probably go with probably Italian architecture, honestly,
Okay.
again, like it's just the like something like Florence or the smaller hilltop towns like
Yeah,
Perugia, like
yeah.
it's just gorgeous, and the history and everything. It's really nice.
Best cafe or best place to find a really good cafe?
So Jack discovered this cafe in Florence. I feel like we need to branch away from Italy, but it's just the best. And we spent the most time there, so I guess
Yeah.
we're a little bit biased. We have the most experiences there. Um Jack, I don't want to like tell the story for you, but he was in this art of walking class, which is super interesting. It was like very philosophical, and it was about essentially, yeah, like the art of walking. And their teacher led them to this little cafe along the river about 45 minutes outside of central Florence called Santa Rosa Bistro. And it's basically all outdoor. It's super open. And it's in like a little garden, and it's a lot of locals and families coming to just like enjoy the surroundings, and it kind of feels like you're outside of the city in this little secluded spot. And they had some really cool like signature lattes. Like they did a coconut vanilla one, and they're kind of experimenting, which I was honestly surprised for Italy, because they kind of are stuck in their, they
Yes.
like their tradition. But they do like a shakerado and all these
Very cool.
fun drinks. So that was one of my favorite cafe experiences for sure.
And all of an art of walking class. That's pretty.
Yeah, it was a wild time. It was such a we literally our projects for that semester
Yeah.
was a walk, and then we had to like write an essay about it and the philosophical kind of surroundings of that. She was such a quirky lady, and I miss it, honestly. It was such a great time.
I love that. We don't have that kind of stuff here, which would be something so wild to see. You just see people walking in different directions all around the United States. We're like, where are you going? You guys have been traveling for quite a bit of time. You have your business. You guys have both said that you were doing this as a side, but you're both very passionate about this. Is there an idea that you want to take this and make this full time, or is it just you're loving having it as a side right now?
I would love to completely work for myself and have like own my own travel brand business full time one day.
Yeah.
Working in a startup has taught me a lot about how to run a small business, and so getting to apply those to my own right now, hobbies, passions, side hustles, whatever you want to call them, has been really instrumental and has taught me a lot. So I feel like I'm definitely in this kind of learning and absorbing season, while also getting to create as much as I can and try to balance a full-time job in addition to all these fun side projects that we're doing. But no, I would love to. I have so many. I feel like I come up with an idea a day for some sort of business or product, and I'm just like, I just wish I had the time to make them all happen. But
Yeah.
I think that I think hopefully one day would be really cool.
I work in corporate America, and I have this podcast. I do social media contracting as well. But the corporate America stuff has taught me so much that I'm able, like Olivia, exactly what you just said, it's taught me so much that I'm able to do this stuff more efficiently. I'm able to do it at a level. By all means, I wish I could be doing this all day though, and I wish I could be doing this full time. But it definitely plays a massive part in helping to make sure that I get a bigger view so I can come back and really make this as efficient as possible, without being the full CEO in corporate America.
Exactly. I feel like I started honestly freelancing before I realized what I was doing. I've kind of grew up with a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. And I would go out and ask small businesses if I could take photos and run their social for them back when social media marketing was kind of becoming a thing. And then eventually just kind of tumbled into marketing. I think I've always been a writer, and so that sort of that sort of went along with all the sort of marketing that I was learning at the time as well, and just experiences as life went on. So, but yeah, I mean, digital marketing that's pretty much, it's a huge part of running any small business or side hustle nowadays. Like it's really is key. So I'm thankful for all those experiences.
And Jack, I wish I had somebody handy like you every single day to help me run my website more efficiently. I really do. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it's just that it can get complicated, and sometimes I get confused, honestly, and have to do a quick Google. But at the end of the day, you just gotta keep going and hope that it will make a difference, and it does. It does.
Yeah, it does. There's no shortage of differences between us here in the United States and going over in Europe. What was kind of the biggest shocks? I mean, Jack, I'm sure for you, biggest shocks coming over here, but also going back and forth and traveling over in Europe. What were kind of the biggest shocks for you guys, of how different everything is?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest shocks, honestly, because I have been here a while now, so I'm kind of like a mash of American and English culture now. So, but speaking on, yeah, going over there, I think it was the pace of life for sure. I think there's a lot of and the ambition in America and the drive here is really inspiring and really cool. And you go to a coffee shop with a bunch of people working and working hard on their side hustles and stuff, and it's inspiring. But I think there is something, same in Italy and France and parts of England as well. People are just, they're working. That's not really their whole life, but it's what they do. And then they're moving slowly through the day, a longer lunch or a longer dinner, or they're taking more time to have a conversation. And I think that's a pretty big difference. And it's something that I think is valuable as well to learn from.
Yeah. Olivia, what about you coming from here, going over to Europe?
I think growing up in a suburb, I was really shocked by the urban planning of like these small, super historic cities, and then being part of a large I guess neighborhood where you had to drive 15 minutes to get anywhere, where like over in Europe it's very walkable. I feel like walkability really adds to your quality of life. You can go and get your fresh veggies from the market. You can go and run all your errands essentially by foot, which some people are like, that's unconventional. I need a car. But I think there's a real just like pleasure and joy from being able to get around so many places. And also just like there's less I don't know, it seems more connected to, like, instead of just going out and driving, you're able to, like, say hello to the people you pass in the street every day, and it's not like you drive back and then you're, like, back at your house in the suburb outside of, the more connected city. So, I think, just, like, that sort of aspect was really cool to see and experience.
I wish I could walk everywhere every single day. I think we would be
Mhm.
United States would be a less obese country. You know what I mean? Like we would have so many less issues there in
Yeah.
that category.
I think it would keep us fit, it would keep us more
Yeah.
connected, it would honestly, I think, make us happier. I think I did read about a study, or I saw someone post a study about, like, the more walkable area you live in actually correlates to, like, a higher, uh a better quality
Yeah.
of life, and you're happier essentially. So I thought that was really interesting.
I will say that is a part of what I love about downtown Seattle is how is the Pike Place Market and everything, and that whole strip down there. Everybody's out. Everybody's like
Mhm.
enjoying life and all the incredible food that is in that one area, but it is so enjoyable just to walk around that whole area right there. And that was what popped into my mind
Mhm.
when you were saying that, because that's like one of my favorite areas just to walk around and talk to all the different vendors who create everything. And it's such a fun area to be around.
Yeah, watch them toss the fish back and forth to each
Yes.
other. There's usually some musicians playing, and then you can walk down to the pier, which is
Yes.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's lovely down there.
Yeah. Where do both of you find joy in travel, but also just in this travel business that you guys have created?
Hmm, that's a good question. Jack, do you want to go, or do you want me to?
I can go, yeah. I think I'd find the most joy in that cultural experience, the
Yeah.
difference of cultures when traveling.
Yeah.
I think that, and then that can actually go with travel planning as well. I think
Yeah.
it's so important to understand more people as
Yep.
much as you can. And there are so many different ways of living life on this planet. And so traveling is really the only way you can truly experience that. And going to Italy or going to France or going wherever you are able and immersing yourself in that culture as much as you
Yeah.
can, not even trying not to take the full tourist package, but
Yeah.
like trying to kind of fit into their life a little bit and kind of
Yeah.
learn from them. I think that's been really educational for us, like trying to grab
Love it.
those. And so that on the travel planning side, we hope and we try to kind of put that into our travel plans to
Yeah.
help people experience the culture more than just go and see it.
I think one of the biggest takeaways from traveling that has led to more just like happiness and expanding my worldview is learning that there's not really a right way to do things. Like, I think as Americans, we come over and we're like, oh, there's one way to do all these certain things, when really there's so many different ways to do the same thing. And instead of looking at it as like, what's the right way, it's like, well, what can we learn from all the different approaches, from the way people
Yeah.
live their life, or even the way they like serve coffee. And
Absolutely.
we're like from like the places that where iced coffee is popular, over here might not be. And so it's like, why? And
Right.
asking the questions, and it's like, why do they charge for ice? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, maybe. And it's just having these like conversations about like, okay, well, there's not really a right way, but like, what is different about this? What can we learn from this? And I think that gives me better like empathy and just understanding for people's differences. And I just feel a lot more connected to people in general from traveling. And so that has just led to a lot of, honestly, happiness and joy in my life. And then being able to hopefully spur on those conversations and experiences for other people through travel planning
I love
is something that brings me a lot of joy.
That's the coffee thing has been the biggest thing that I've heard from everybody who is that's the biggest shock for some people, is that you can't, like,
Yeah.
it's not the same coffee here. And so I've heard that quite a bit, that's just been a shock for everybody sometimes. And I'm like, I don't know what you really expect. We kind of
I'm
Americanized it a little bit.
Well, especially you think that it's funny because you think Italians drink the most coffee ever, but it's actually Americans because even the portion sizes are different. You come over here and it's really typical to get a latte or a cappuccino with at least 2 shots of espresso. But over in Italy, the traditional cappuccino is 1 shot of espresso, and so you can have multiple, or you can have a cappuccino and an espresso later in the day. And over here, you're like chugging these giant drinks with like 3 shots in them, or like your giant coffees, and you're like, no wonder we're all like bouncing off the walls, feeling like we're constantly about to have a panic attack. It's so different. So
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask the cliche question of what's on the bucket list. Where is the next spots you would love to go visit? Whether it's the first time or somewhere you want to go back to.
Right. I think we've both been really talking about Iceland recently. Would be top of the list because it just looks absolutely gorgeous and like nowhere else in the world. So that's pretty high on the list for us. Yeah.
We just found out that there's actually, I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, that there's a direct flight from Raleigh to Iceland. I was like, that's very unheard of that we can go straight there.
Wow, that's so nice.
I was like, it's just one flight. I was like, that's really weird, but yet to get out to Seattle, I have to take a connecting flight.
Yeah,
make a whole lot of sense.
It's like who puts this together? Who makes this? Like, I would really love to. I mean, we both talked about going back to London. We actually have plans to go back in spring of next year, but London's so huge. You could go like 5 times and still explore another borough. So I loved it there though.
It is it is on my list of places that I would love to go to this year. I've done Athens, we did Santorini, we did Paris, but I so badly just want to go to London. Just to my dad traveled for the last 30 years of his life, and so he's been there so many times, and I'm like, I just want to go because I've heard so much about it. So that's on my list for this year as well. So
oh, awesome.
My last question for both of you is just what inspires you?
Oh, that's good. Jack, do you have an answer? Or do you want me to go? I feel like there's so much, and then I'm trying to come up with like something unique and something like so I'm like, do I just oh gosh.
I love to stump people at the very end of the interview just with this one question.
It's good. It's such a big question though. I mean, so much. I feel like people who are just like can live authentically as themselves and know like the gifts that they have to offer the world and aren't afraid to like bring them to fruition and share them with their community and the people around them is really inspiring. And so when I find people like that, I really try to channel that sort of energy in my own life because, you know, there's always that that sense of imposter syndrome or like wondering if you're going the right direction and all that. But I think those types of individuals are really people who are what's inspiring me right now.
You're not the only one with imposter syndrome. I get that. I feel like that all the time, especially in this world of creation. I'm like, I don't want to be like the same person everybody sees on TikTok every single day. But I'm like, am I? You do the doubting.
What would you say, Jack?
I'd say I'm inspired by this kind of stuff, honestly, by you pursuing your podcast, by our travel planning, by people around us doing these side hustles and you know, just going for it. And they're obviously like usually a side hustle isn't just like usually not just a simple way to make money. There's usually passion involved in there.
Yes.
And so there's always a little sparkle in people's eyes when they get to do their side hustle. I think that's really inspiring and really cool. I think pursuing your passion is one of the best things you could do. So
I think as much as everybody talks about, oh, millennials, and there's so many people who are doing side hustles, I think that's the beauty, to your point too, Jack. I think that's the beautiful thing, is that people are going and chasing their passions. It's not, people are not wanting to sit behind the desk every single day, all day. Sometimes people are wanting to be out and are wanting to go and do it makes them happy and passionate. And I think to a little bit of what Olivia was hitting at earlier, it'd make us such a happier place if we all, were continuously going and doing that. Because like I said, this would make me happy doing this all day long and getting to talk to so many incredible people. And I think that's the cool thing about side hustles.
Yeah, they're like this outlet for maybe some sort of hobby or something that you are interested in, but you can't find that fulfillment in the job that's currently, allowing you to pay your bills and stuff like that. So I think it's cool in that way.
It definitely is. And I think I think sometimes it teaches you, like, you go through the struggles and you go through the ups and downs, and you learn. Sometimes I feel like you learn it more in this side hustle area than you do in other areas, because, and Olivia, I'm sure you see it too in the startup, it's not easy all the time. You're sometimes doing things as a one woman or one man show, and I think you learn a ton of business, of so many different areas, and success and failures come hand in hand with each other in the side hustle area.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to be willing to pivot and change and be quick on your feet and listen to your audience, figure out what they're asking for, what they want, while also not abandoning, your vision for something. So like there's a lot of balance, there's a lot of trial and error, but it's a beautiful journey. I think it's one of the coolest things you could ever do is start up some sort of business. So
Olivia and Jack, I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking with me today. The travel bug, I'm ready to get back on the road. As we were talking about earlier, I am ready to go. But I am so grateful to have both of you on here today to talk with me and dive into your world a little bit more. All of their socials are going to be linked down below, so you guys can go follow along. And if you are traveling, go get one of their guides, so you guys can have some recommendations from them. But guys, I can't thank you enough, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you so much for having us. This has been so much fun.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as always, I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.